Hey guys, it's Raaga and welcome back to another episode of Career Corner. My guest in this episode grew up in Fresno, California, where she helped her grandfather in the farm with raising the pigs and sheep. Today, she anchors FOX12's weekend edition of Good Day Oregon and is a household name here in the area. When she's not working on TV anchoring, she loves to go on travel adventures and lots of sporting events. One of her bucket list goals is to visit every Major League Baseball stadium in the country, and she is well on her way to reaching her goal. Please welcome Debra Gil from KPTV.
Hi.
Debra, thank you so much for joining me on Career Corner today. I know you've been on air until literally 10 minutes ago, so I really appreciate you taking the time for this.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
So first up, growing up on a farm to all this fame and becoming a household name, could you please share your educational and career journey with us?
Mine is very unorthodox and interesting because I started in my career back before it was necessary to have a college degree. So I don't have one. That is not the case now. So I came about getting started kind of in a roundabout way. I started working at a television station in Texas, a very small market, small town television station. And I started at their front desk as a receptionist. And the group that creates commercials asked if I would be willing to do some commercials for them, to voice them and to show my face and be the talent in a commercial. And I said, sure. Well, in Texas, you may or may not know, a lot of people have a Texas accent. I was from California, so I didn't have one, and I liked that because it was more of just a standard kind of accent. I couldn't tell where I was from. And so they used me a few times in commercials. And during that time I was working there, I got to be really friends with a lot of people in the newsroom. And this director approached me one day and said, I'm making some changes and I would like to give you the opportunity if you'd like and maybe work for a little while and let's see how it works. And if you like it, you can stay. If you don't, and no harm, no foul. And so I jumped at the chance, took to it like a duck to water. I realized very early on that it was easy for me and it was totally enjoyable. It was something that I really felt like I was meant to do.
Wow, that all sounds super fascinating. What motivated you to choose TV media as your career choice?
It kind of chose me. It was one of those things where, like I said, I was already in a news station, but not working in the news department. And I was fascinated by it. And I became kind of a newsroom groupie. I would hang out with people that worked in news and watch the newscasts. And then the news director approached me one day and gave me an opportunity to try, and offered me that opportunity, and I jumped at it. And I realized that I've always loved to write and tell stories. So once I got started, it just felt like something I was really meant to do.
So what kind of professional training or certification process does someone need to pursue TV media?
Normally, you would definitely have to go to college, get your 4-year degree. Now, the beauty of television news is you don't necessarily have to have a degree in broadcast journalism. You can. There are so many different kinds of degrees that go into it. There's communications, there's broadcast journalism, there's a lot of different degrees you can pursue. But you cover such a wide range of topics in news that clearly, if you have the ability to do what we're doing right now, which is speak clearly and to tell a story, and you're not afraid to do that with a camera in front of your face, then you will probably do well at this job. So you don't necessarily have to have that training, but it definitely helps you, prepares you for what's going to happen once you become a reporter, because most journalism schools in colleges give you that opportunity to actually practice the craft and learn it. But really, the most you will learn is once you're actually on the job. Most people say, oh, my degree didn't quite prepare me for everything that happens once you're actually in a newsroom and working.
That's a lot of great information. Thank you for that. So, apart from having the right education and credentials, what personality traits do you think are necessary to be successful in this career?
You have to be okay under pressure because the clock is always ticking and you're always under timeline. Always. There's always another newscast that you're trying to rush to get the story. You have to be tenacious because you want to get all of the facts as much as you can and get them factually. You have to, not just what people are saying or what you see on social media, you have to verify everything. So you have to be really tenacious in seeking the truth and wanting to get that story out. Enjoying telling a good story and telling people's stories is really big. But a lot of it, again, I go back to that working under pressure, because for some people that's really hard when you're constantly under that gun and that timeline to get things done quickly and have them be perfect so that you can put it on the air and it's live.
Sounds like there's a lot that happens behind the scenes before we see on TV. So a career like yours gives it an enormous amount of visibility and fame, which is awesome, but I want to ask you, what is the most gratifying aspect of your career for you?
For me, it's telling people stories that would not necessarily be told, meeting some fascinating and wonderful people. And I don't mean celebrities, I mean just people out in America that have wonderful stories to tell. And let's be honest, some of the stories we tell are not wonderful and they're not happy, but they're important to tell. And so that's gratifying to me, knowing that I am getting information out to people that they need to know.
And what are some of the challenges that you face, or is there something that you don't necessarily like about your job?
It's like any job, there are quirks about it that are hard. The other day, I was reporting out in the field, and that means when you're not in the newsroom, not in the building. And if you have technological glitches, for some reason my laptop wasn't working, but I still had to get my story written, sent back to the newsroom, and then use it on my phone to be able to read it on the air. And none of it was working, so I still had to get it done. And so that gets really frustrating. And there's times when you can call the station and let them know I'm having problems, and they'll go, okay, we'll float you for now or whatever. But that can be really frustrating when you're under that timeline. You need to look good, you need to sound good, you need to be live, and things aren't working out well. And the other thing is, there are times when you're doing negative stories that are emotionally impactful, that are hurtful, and you're doing them many days in a row. And there's times when you just need to step back and kind of take a break because it starts to affect you. It's hard to not get emotional, but you have to try to be unbiased and unemotional and not judgmental, and just be able to tell stories with that clear and non-bias.
Yeah, technical glitches seem to be everyone's household problems these days. So what advice do you have for kids that aspire to follow your footsteps and become a news reporter?
Well, when I think about it, mine actually started before I realized it had started, because in all through grade school and then into high school, I loved to write. I loved stories. I loved to tell stories and to write stories. And even when it was a subject or a class where it's not necessarily, I was really good at literature and English and journalism. But even sometimes like history classes or social studies, if I was given the opportunity to write a story as opposed to another class project, I always chose that because that's what I enjoyed doing and I was good at it, so it made sense. I also entered speech and debate classes and outside extracurricular, where you would go to other schools and compete by giving original oratory or impromptu speeches, because that helps prepare you too for that. You're going to have to stand up with a microphone and talk and explain to somebody something that's going on live beside you. So those are things that you could actually start doing that you don't think about it, but they're very much like the kind of job you would have as a reporter or even as an anchor. So those things you can start even really early on. And obviously, if you enjoy that kind of thing, then you were probably meant to do it.
It's really valuable to listening to you describing these personality traits. Anyways, here's some questions from my viewers that they wanted to ask you. What is the correct pronunciation of your last name? Is it Gil or Gil?
Truth be told, it is Gil. It is a Spanish name. My husband is of Spaniard descent. And so the correct pronunciation is Gil, but most people would not stop to think that. So I just go with the Americanized version of Gil.
Glad we got that right. When you're on air or live and you forget your lines or make a mistake, what do you do? Do you have like prompts or something?
Now, when you're sitting in the studio, you have the teleprompter. So for the most part, you are reading your script, but you still have to ad lib once in a while. When you're out in the field, we typically use our phones as our teleprompter. We write our script and send ourselves an email, and so we can read that as our script. But a lot of times when you're in breaking news situation, you don't have the time to write a story. So all you have are bullet points and notes to follow, and you just have to tell it. You have to stop and think, how would I tell you? You're my friend. I'm just going to tell Raaga, what am I seeing right now? And that's all it takes, is you're just telling someone, you're describing to them, here's what I know, here's what we're waiting to find out, here's what you can see. And all of that will not be written. So, but when you make a mistake, you typically just kind of have to keep going. Don't acknowledge it unless it's a very bad mistake and you need to say, I'm sorry, let me retract, or, but most of the time it's a slight stumble or something, and you can just keep going, and the audience is very forgiving and they understand because we're not perfect.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's really hard to be under pressure and like not get all, nervous. So how are you managing your life with TV anchoring during the pandemic? Do you still go to the studio and record, or do you stay at home and do it?
Because I'm an anchor, we still anchor from the newsroom. So I was not one of the ones that started working at home, but several of our weather anchors did work from home. A lot of our reporters worked from home. Our sports anchor worked from home. I was not one of them. We did do some shortened days. We called them summer hours, where we had one day, extra day off, and did some changes like that. We spread out everyone in the newsroom to where our desks are very far apart now. We have to wear masks when we're inside and do all those same rules that everyone else would do. But for me personally, I did not have to leave and work from home. So it's been a blessing for me to be able to get to leave home and to come into work and still see my coworkers, because I know a lot of people didn't get to do that.
Are you in the news area now?
I am in an improvised newsroom. Our normal newsroom, they put up these plexiglass barriers in between all the desks, but they spread everyone out too, to keep us, 6 feet or more apart. So my desk used to be in the actual newsroom, and during all this, they turned one of our studios that they used to create commercials in into another newsroom. And so this room is now where all the anchors are sitting. So, and again, we're spaced very far apart.
There's so many changes that everyone has to do these days.
Yes.
Do you have any final words of wisdom for our Career Corner viewers?
If you're looking to get into journalism, it's a fun and very rewarding job. It's very hard and taxing. Only the very big network people that you see on network television make the big bucks. So don't expect you're going to get into this job and get instantly wealthy, because that will not be the case. Again, you just have to really love to tell a good story and pursue those facts, and be patient with yourself and with other people. At the same time, having a thick skin, because people are looking at you, and when you make mistakes, sometimes they will call attention to it. They will email you or write on social media that they don't like how you looked or what you said. So you kind of have to have a thick skin in this job too, and take it all with a grain of salt and just do the best you can. Yeah.
This is so awesome, Debra. Thank you so much for sharing your story. It's so wonderful talking to you. Thanks again for taking your time for Career Corner.
You're welcome. I enjoyed it.
Well, that's a wrap for this episode of Career Corner. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe down below. Hit the bell so you don't miss any other new Career Corner videos, and I'll see you next time. Bye!